All right, we are live for the Friday edition of the Morning Check-In, and as always, never a dull moment, especially when everything appears to be lining up for something very interesting, perhaps over the weekend. And it looks like the U.S. is desperate, in need of Iran to bite the bait in reference to what's going on out here. So, going to be an interesting day, interesting weekend, heading into next week, especially. But before we dive into all the important news of the day, curious to find out what you guys are keeping eyes on. So feel free to drop some ideas, thoughts, suggestions out there. Love to connect and see where we can get going this morning. So let me make sure everything is flowing smoothly on my end. Let me know if the sound is coming in clearly. I have maybe 10, 12 tabs open, all with some very interesting things, trying to connect the dots and how, between the not so favorable bank earnings, the silver surge, rally, whatever we want to call it, that threatens to break out or to touch 30 and beyond, eventually. And then, of course, the U.S. intel consistently, deliberately continue to drop nuggets saying that any minute now, 24 hours, 48 hours, it's been 24 to 48 hours for the last week or two that Iran was supposed to respond to Israel, but it hasn't happened yet. So, yeah, man, the warmongers need a diversion tactic. So it's going to be very interesting, man. All in all, I mean, it's nothing to really, joke about, laugh about, just because we know how things are being set up. But it's just interesting how when you try to put the pieces of the puzzle together, you can just see that at the end of the day, it's going to be a lot of destruction. But then again, on the precious metal side, we're witnessing the monetary structure break, literally. Like, this type of activity is abnormal, which to me signals that something has already broken behind the scenes, and we're eventually going to find out what it is. But I guess before the world finds out what broke officially, the West needs a military conflict. They need Iran to respond to Israel, or there will be a false flag event where it'll look like Iran did respond, and then all hell breaks out in the Middle East. Because that's ultimately where this is heading. So, all right, man. As always, for those who are plugged in, let me know what you guys are keeping your eyes on. Anything beyond the obvious, which is silver, of course. But then again, it's still early in the day. There is always that potential threat of a last-minute market slam down if they can muster up one. But we're going to talk about that and a lot more. I don't want to do a lot of ranting today. Just want to get to the news and share my 2 cents on it. And, of course, get your guys' opinion. So if you have not, hit that thumbs up button, show your support for the channel, as well as click the bell notification so you can be notified when we go live. And also, if we got any new members in the community, let me know where you're watching from. We'll definitely love to acknowledge your presence and welcome you to the fold. And if you have not, connect with RTD via the social media tabs. As you can see right here, social media tabs in the description where you get a chance to let your voice be heard throughout the day. And also on Telegram, we share stuff 24/7, it seems. So it's always some good back and forth going on in the social media tab. So definitely check it out, man. Rolf says red heifer time. Yeah, that is another thing that is getting talked about a lot. And that I saw some reports saying that, as of anytime between now and April 22nd, which is the official Jewish calendar Passover time frame. So yeah, that's another event. So yeah, never. It's never, ever a dull moment. Okay. Let's jump right into it, man. So as always, start off with some good news coming from the Word of God directly, something to charge your spirits up this morning, get you started on your day. Then we'll get into some Wall Street activity, everything in between, all the way down to Main Street, everything that impacts you and I on a day-to-day basis. So let's get into it, man. Let's get into it. All right, here we go. So this is April 12th, and it says, refuse to doubt, from Habakkuk. I know I always butcher that word, but you guys know what the book is at. So anyway, it's 3:17 through 19, and it says here, through the fig tree does not though the fig tree does not bud, and there are no grapes on the vines, yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will be joyful in God, my Savior. The sovereign Lord is my strength. He enables me to tread on the heights. Then it goes on to say here, nothing can shake your faith as when your situation takes an unexpected turn for the worst. Suddenly, the foundation of what you trust is shattered. As you grasp for earthly forms of security and relief, they crumble. The pressure compounds. It says God has not allowed these circumstances to destroy your faith, but to build it. However, at this moment, you must decide to believe that the Father is worthy of your trust. He desires the best for you. It may not seem so at the moment as you face incredible pressures, but he does. Therefore, refuse to doubt, like David confronting Goliath or Moses standing before the Red Sea. Refuse to accept defeat. Know that God is waiting to reveal his mighty provision to you, and rejoice in the fact that he will never fail you. And then the closing prayer is, Lord, I will not doubt you. You are leading me to victory, and I am grateful for your love. Amen. All right, good people. Don't doubt. Don't doubt. That is a word for the day. Okay, so as always, man, let's get this thing moving a little bit. I'm trying to put together just my thoughts and analysis on what's happening as things start to really come together in a sense. Everything appears to be lining up given the current events that's underway now. And I think a lot of it has to do with, ultimate diversion tactic or distraction to really keep people's eyes off of, from a monetary standpoint, what really matters. Like literally, when the people's money, aka silver, is surging the way that it is price wise, that is definitely an alarm flag that needs to be silenced, squashed, covered up, or something. That's why I think in the next couple days, if Iran doesn't bite the bait, there will be some type of unforeseen event that will trigger some type of diversion tactic, definitely heading into Monday. Because based upon the way these prices are moving in silver and gold, man, it is hard to believe that they can let this continue to rally because all eyes are on this one right here, boy. Okay, let me get into some what's going on here. All right, let's get into it. Before I do that, let me always big up my people. Got to always remind people of opportunities. For those who may be new to the fold, you never know. Let me get myself situated here. I want to remind people, if you are not familiar, if you have not as of yet, I want to encourage you, take advantage of the RTD quiz at rethinkingthedollar.com/quiz. 10 quick questions to test your dollar IQ. As of right now, the average is about 60%. And the goal is just to give people something to think on so that you can realize that little gap in between your knowledge bank of what you do know and what you don't know. Then you can fill it in with some information and things of that nature. So beneath this video here, I put together 3 of my, steps to monetary savviness, as I call it. And it's simple. Test yourself, get information, and then plug in with information that matters moving forward. And then you'll be on a much better pathway than the average Joe. So definitely check that out if you guys want to. I'd encourage you to do that. And also want to make sure I big up my people over at Colonial Metals Group. So if you have not, I want to encourage you to scroll down beneath this video here. colonialsmetalsgroup.com/RTD is the page where you can go speak with the experts on how to take possession of everything you work so hard for. And it's just simple. Fill out this little survey here. You'll get a call from an expert. They will walk you through everything you need to know to take back what is yours out of the legacy system, put in your hands with a self-directed IRA and all the other things that they can help you with. So I figure it's a great time, given all the things the world is experiencing, to partner with people who are professionals in this business to help you guys plug in. So if you're interested, click the link in the description. You can get more information on Colonial Metals Group. And also, if you want, you can actually have a chance to receive a free vault and up to about $10,000 in silver for those who qualify for the program. So never know if you do, but check them out, colonialsmetalsgroup.com/RTD. All right, let's get into the primary subject matter of this morning. Things are lining up perfectly, it looks like. And so what do I mean by that? Let's just look at some price action real quick, and then we'll get into some of the headline news stories here. So as of right now, if I refresh this page, this is what we're looking like. This is what it's looking like. Gold is $2,400. Mind you, we have never seen the USD price of gold so high, or we've never witnessed the rapid depreciation of the Federal Reserve note when valued in gold. And so right now, $2,400, like we are literally witnessing something that is very alarming to me. Like even as a monetary enthusiast, as someone who's been talking about, the world rethinking the dollar for the last decade now, I never really looked forward to the point where we get to the obvious when we can see signs that things are breaking, because I know in my mind the result of the system breaking down will equate to some type of an event of some kind that will unfortunately God forbid, lead to a large amount of casualties, aka lives lost, because of the events that must take place between the East, West, or the globalists in general. So, like this number here, even though it looks exciting for those who have been prepared for this moment, as far as having put yourself in position to reap the benefits of monetary malfeasance, but then again, it's going to come at a great cost. So it doesn't really excite me at my core, but I got to be real. I got to talk about what's really happening out here. So as you can see here, man, look at this, 24.16. So literally, now that gold is broken out in an all-time high price in USD, it has automatically debunked every other fiat currency on the planet. All 180 something currencies out there are all debasing faster in gold terms, because gold is the standard, and you can clearly see that from these numbers here. And so what else we got here? This is the last straw that will break the monetary bankers' backs. It's silver, 29.55. And with its recent activity, if we just look at how, markets open up, it surges, they try to slam it down, it surges back up. So it looks like whatever paper contracts, futures, the Crimex is trying to use, LBMA is trying to use to slam the price, it doesn't appear to be working anymore. So therefore, we could literally perhaps break $30 within the next couple of hours, and then everything is just everything is wide open at that point. We don't know where this could go before, God forbid, something unfolds. So what else we got here? Platinum is doing a little bit of a bid. Palladium's doing a bid. So, sound money is moving right now. Therefore, all the other derivatives built on top of it in the form of stocks, bonds, and all the other financial products valued in gold are falling right now. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting day. All right, keep it moving. Let me just check out the crypto sector, just because this is something always worth to keep an eye on. Let me refresh this. And as of right now, it looks like it is not doing too well. We got Bitcoin right now at 69,000. That's down from 70,000 earlier. Then what else we got here? We have Ethereum also is down slightly from earlier today. So crypto markets aren't getting a major bid, even though there's a lot of news about Hong Kong setting up Bitcoin and ETF spots futures, which is supposed to be exciting for the market, but I obviously haven't really responded as of yet. So they're going to need a lot more diversion tactics when it comes to these digital distractions to keep people's eyes off silver. All right, let's get into what's happening in the real legacy system. So as of right now, looking at the markets, give me a second here to get myself together. We have overall a lot of red on the screen here. And I guess what's most notable as of right now is Apple appears to be getting somewhat of a bid, but all eyes is on the banking sector. And as you guys can see right here, JPMorgan, let me move this over a little bit. As of right now, we have JPMorgan is down almost 5%. And so Jamie Dimon is out here giving some warnings as well. Not sure. Overall, the globally systemic banks, in my opinion, they'll be fine because the central banks are there to back them up. It's the smaller banks that are not essential in a sense compared to what they're trying to accomplish with the consolidation of power to the hands of the big boys, the top 8. And so those are the banks I'll be more concerned with. But the big boys here will be fine, even though stock-wise is not looking good. But Jamie Dimon took chips off the table already, and all the other bank CEOs, they already unloaded some of their holdings of their own portfolios to prepare for whatever days are ahead, because they know something's breaking. But banks aren't doing good on a Friday. Not ideal situation, but silver and gold surging. Where would you rather be at long term, holding a portfolio full of paper derivatives or claims on banks, or having something tangible, real that literally is the kryptonite to the banking cabal? I don't know. Okay, let's get into some headlines real quick. So here we got. Let me refresh this real quick. We have Dow falls 300 points, and so once again, Dow is only 29, 30 companies, of which it's not enough to really measure the true value of the equities market. But for news sake, CNBC love to run with what gets the people's attention, and Dow falls 300 points as inflation concerns persist. Inflation concerns persist. Inflation, that was a primary topic earlier on in the week, but then again, they want to make sure they lump all this together. And JPMorgan drops. So let's get into some other things here. There. A lot of juicy headlines here. Here's another one here. Let me move this. So it says stocks fall, and look at this one. as war jitters spur flight to safety. Oh, really? And guess what their safety is? Due to, looks like, the treasuries, US debt liabilities appear to be getting some type of bid right now. And so I'm assuming they're calling that a flight to safety. So it says stocks fell as banks kicked off their earnings season with heightened geopolitical risk, spurring a flight to the safest corners of the market, like bonds. They had to throw bonds in first, gold, and the dollar. Oil rally. So once again, this is where the desperation kicks in, and the fallacy that the legacy system, which has been held together by U.S. liabilities, as I call them, as the backbone of the monetary structure, is still moving forward. And so what we've witnessed over the last several months now, potentially a year, of every single nation, more so those are part of the BRICS organizations, talking about gold, racing to gold, and all of them countries have slowly but surely dialed down on their reserve holdings of U.S. bonds. And so once again, like, who really is leading that flight to something that the world is also unloading? That's where you get into the lies. And even yesterday, I posted something that looks like the bond auction. Let me grab this and make sure here, because I don't follow the bond auctions as much, but I do follow people who do. And let me just share with you something yesterday I posted in the Telegram. And so the Fed's bid for 30-year bonds totaled $362.8 million. And so the commentary on that, let me just pull this up real quick. Give me 1 second. Let me pull this up here. I'll actually pull this up so you guys can see what I see. And so the point is, they were commenting on how the bond auctions are not doing as well as they would like for them to. Let me see here. So let me grab this and put it on the screen right here for you. So this was yesterday. Didn't get a chance to mention it, but here we got Fed bids for 30-year auction bonds, total $39 million. And so ultimately, this is a quasi form of quantitative easing when it starts off by saying the Federal Reserve, the Fed bids for 30-year bonds. And apparently the 20-year and some other bonds did not get the type of turnout that they were expecting. Let me see here. Nope. So it is another report here. But long story short, the auction bids aren't getting the type of excitement that they used to get years and years ago. Therefore, that's more of a signal that this flight to safety that they're trying to sell us on, once again, take it with a grain of salt, because you got to realize they have a lot to lose if things don't play out the way that they would like them to. Okay, so let me keep moving. Just more headlines here. This is one I was just reading. And it talks about the dollar hitting, highs, whatever. I don't follow the Dixie just because, once again, you're measuring all the currency that's failing right now compared to gold. What good is that other than just, amongst the financial sector? Okay, keep it moving. Here we have Treasury's rally on Middle East developments, sending yields broadly lower. So once again, as I mentioned before, the great setup of how everything appears to be lining up. So, the Western world would love to have us believe that based upon this, development here with the treasuries, that the bond market is still hot. People still racing for a safety in holding government liabilities without even really focusing on what is being set up as an historical movement right now with precious metals. Like literally, with gold reaching $2,400 right now, and it's continually surging. That to me shows that the true flight to safety happens to be something that has been discounted for the last 50 years since the gold window was closed. And so literally gold is replacing treasuries, U.S. liabilities, as the safe place to run. And so they literally are selling us fake news. To me, this is literally misleading information here, because even though treasury rally the yields are dropping slightly, that doesn't mean that it's foreign buyers. It's the entities for the most part in the BRICS that are racing. The BRICS are not racing to buy these liabilities. They're racing to get as much gold as they can. So who's actually buying? Who's this buyer out here that's running to safety? And I just showed you a minute ago that the Fed is buying 30-year bonds. So could it be literally the Fed has already stepped in now and started to really try to support the debt market, i.e. fund our governments continuously without any exterior buyers? Very likely. Okay. Yeah. Don't want to bore you anymore. Okay, let me see here. No, we get to some more here. So this is just something I meant to bring up earlier. Bring up a while ago. Um, Another little headline here: Treasury surge as Middle East tensions stoke demand for haven. So you see the Western mainstream media, what they're trying to sell us. The treasuries are still in high demand right now, discounting the unprecedented move in gold right now. So imagine if they had said gold surges as Middle East tension stokes demand for havens. So I would imagine in the Eastern Hemisphere, where news is more slanted towards truth, there's probably headlines coming out now that reads gold surges. And so you go back to this one here, right here. It is a gold rallies on Middle East development. So once again, yeah, don't fall for the banana in the tailpipe. Okay, keep it moving. So now what we have here, the setup we have here, precious metals rallying in an unprecedented form, to me indicating that literally something has broken behind the monetary structure, something in the monetary piping is clogged or broken completely. The West has lost control of the narrative that the flight to safety and U.S. liabilities is still the place to be. So the Federal Reserve, in my opinion, has stepped in as the one and probably the only buyer to support the U.S. debt market, because literally everything hedges on the U.S. debt market still being looked at as a viable source of stability for the financial sector globally, because it has been painted as the world reserve anchor with the dollar, the Federal Reserve note, aka the Federal Reserve note, on top of that as the primary subset to that instrument. So if the bond market literally was to crater flat out and they didn't promote all these lies, then the dollar, literally, Federal Reserve note dollar would just be toast and gold would surge even faster. And real interest rates would have to just go through the roof. We would see something well beyond what what we saw in the early 80s with Volcker and their desire to curb inflation by spiking rates to the double digit territory. So literally everything hinges on the lie of treasuries being the true anchor still, but we all know that's not the case, and that's why we're witnessing gold and silver do what it's doing right now. Okay, now what else we got here? So let's get into some other stories here. Let me put myself back together. Give me 1 second here. Okay, so let's get into some other stories here. So how does this link into the banking sector? Let me put this on the screen here. Okay, so here we got some news from Jamie Dimon. Jamie Dimon warns of unsettling pressures as bank earnings wobble. And so warnings from the chief executive of the nation's largest bank have been consistently at odds with the heady financial market. So we talked about this the other day. Jamie Dimon is on this crusade to be the banker that became truthful as the system started to wobble. And so he himself is going to be fine. He's been a recipient of this central bank collaboration for his entire career. So he's going to be fine. But it's more so the financial sector in general. And so this is where I think this is the type of things that will head into whatever banking event, whether it be through the commercial real estate, whether it be the actual banking issue or the derivatives that are failing as well. Whatever that event ends up being, the result will be the rebranding of the banking structure. Like the banks will be fine. Apart from shareholders in the banks, they'll more likely be given equity in whatever form, if there was a complete bank run or something like that. And so it's the system that they're setting us up for is what I'm more concerned with. And that system will have something to do with some type of creation of a stable coin / central bank digital currency, which is inevitable. And then what will also be rolled out is universal basic income, because every single citizen in this country's deposits are in the hands of one of these FDIC insured institutions, which we all know FDIC has, pennies on a dollar for every depositor who think they have something in the bank. So ultimately speaking, the solution to the problem that they've created will be them controlling things more digitally on some ledger, whether it be Federal Reserve, Treasury, central banks. I think they'll all probably work together. The Treasury, central banks, and commercial banks are all working together to pull off the greatest heist in humanity. And it's all digitally led with, some type of digital ledger distraction, which is why all this digital stuff we're experiencing right now is on the forefront. So just a little bit of a rant there. So here we got more on. It says JPMorgan Chase beats earning expectations, but Jamie Dimon has a warning about inflation, despite strong results of almost 42 billion in revenue. So once again, how exactly do the banks get their revenue? Their entire business model is based upon expanding the current debt in circulation, i.e., through loans and all the products that they spun out, taking your funds, parking it in U.S. treasuries, earning interest from the central banks and all the other investment models that they have behind the surface. But once again, 42 billion in revenue is probably sustainable for them. But what about the smaller banks, the banks where, your local mom and pops type communities use to run operations? Those banks are not lending as much. Those banks are not in the best of shape given the commercial real estate industry. So once again, the big banks will be fine. The smaller banks are the ones we should be more concerned with. And at the end of the day, when the banking sector in and of itself experiences some issues, they're going to lump all the banks together. So it'll be the commercial banks probably taken down, and then it's going to be rolled into the big banks. But then the big banks will also need some type of liquidation in and of itself. So they're going to use the depositors' funds to recapitalize themselves and then spin out some type of derivative that'll be linked to the CBDC, I believe, in the future. So these are just some things that's happening. And where did this play into the war game? So as of right now, and what has caught my attention, give me 1 second. Let me remove some of these tabs because I got too many windows open. Okay. So what caught my attention is the fact that we are well over a week now since Israel bombed the Iranian embassy in Syria, and there was no immediate response. And so it looks like Iran did not bite the bait of being what would be considered as even though a retaliation would be warrant for them because they were just attacked. If that is the case, the way we're being told, they haven't responded yet. And I think that is what has either pissed off the military industrial complex / globalists in DC, or they're literally continue to put out this narrative that 40, 72 hours, 24 hours, 48 hours, we got intel that says Iran will respond. Like, I would imagine that everybody has that intel, whatever it is our agencies supposedly have. And one of our agencies, the 3-letter agencies, the Pentagon and Department of Defense, knowing what's at stake for them, I wouldn't trust them with intel going back to 9/11, you know what I'm saying? So once again, we know that everything is being said and all the mainstream news sources are putting out this 24 to 48 hours, Iran will respond. What if Iran doesn't respond? Because I would think it's in their best interest. They're taking some lumps and bruises, they're losing, they're taking some casualties, whatever. But what's even bigger at stake here is the monetary system. And they have already chosen sides. They've chosen the BRICS methodology of stack gold, drop your dependency on the dollar, and just let things play out the way that it will eventually. Because even Putin, I'm ranting a little bit, but even Putin during his interview with Tucker Carlson, he made it clear. He's like, the West is killing themselves. Like they've weaponized the dollar and they're deliberately destroying themselves. So it's just a matter of being patient. If you just be patient and wait, all the things that our country is forced to do to maintain itself will eventually implode on ourselves. So you don't really have to go above and beyond to defend or protect yourself other than just be patient and play the waiting game, because the U.S. is desperate and they'll do anything it takes to keep, U.S. treasuries, as the primary source of a haven, according to the mainstream media here, where gold is clearly being brought back into existence as a haven to be in. So once again, the whole point is that I think the U.S. is getting very desperate. And so when you get, information from U.S. intelligence agencies, take it with a grain of salt. But this is just, the world braces for Iran to strike Israel. Oh, really? Wouldn't it be just a surprise if they never did retaliate and the U.S. got desperate, and then, the world basically would know that whatever event comes about would be led by the West. It'd be it wouldn't be a false flag event. It'd be a desperate flag event, because at this current moment, we know how desperate the powers that be are and try to keep things the way that they were, which clearly that's not possible now. But it says here, multiple governments, including Russia, India, UK, US, and France, have warned their citizens to steer clear of the Middle East, especially Israel, until further notice. It says warmongering rhetoric has been flying from both Iran and Israel diplomats and leaders since the IDF hit the Iranian embassy in Syria. So once again, that was a week ago. How do you go a week and not respond unless you're literally taking your time, pausing, because there's no need to really respond because, you know, the U.S. will do something stupid. It says U.S. officials warn an Iranian attack on Israel could happen as early as today and is expected to include an attack by more than 100 drones and dozens of missiles on military targets in Israel. Once again, unless you got somebody on the phone in Iran that you're getting this intel from, how in the world is U.S. intelligence so thorough in saying that it could happen as early as today and is expected to include an attack by 100 drones? Like, how do you get the figure of 100 drones? Like, literally, is it satellites over Iran seeing 100 drones lined up with, you know, attack Israel written all on them? So once again, this is it's signs of desperation, in my opinion. And it says, is this really going to happen, or can more level heads prevail? And so this goes to my point of, like, this goes back to, this was last week's headlines. U.S. So this was literally April 5th, last Friday. U.S. preparing for a significant Iran attack on U.S. or Israel attacks in the region as soon as next week. So literally 7 days ago, they're telling us, get ready for an attack. Then today, Israel braces for Iran to attack within the next 2 days. Report. Then we got out of Israel, we got Iran could retaliate. Oops, give me a second. It says, so this is out of Israel Times. This is what they're feeding their people. Iran could retaliate on soil in next 24 to 48 hours, hoping for U.S. according to U.S. intelligence report. So once again, the war drums are beating. The U.S. is desperate. U.S. intel will tell you anything to get you thinking that, you know, the rest of the world really is gun-ho on this whole Israel conflict. And all this is intentional. Israel being attacked by Hamas last October 7th was intentional. They, you know, more information came out saying the IDF, you know, literally, you know, Israel decided to, you know, literally cut off the Iron Dome. Like, when you cut off the Iron Dome, what are you expecting? Literally, like, so Netanyahu, all these people, this is all intentional. And it's all designed to literally squash the importance of gold and silver. But then again, they're having problems doing it because China clearly is leading the way. And who's benefiting most? Who's benefiting most from gold and silver price surge? It's the nations that have already, over the last several decades. Let me show you a chart real quick. And then I see the super chat. Appreciate you. I'll get to that in 1 second. Let me see here. Let me just find something. These are charts. These are charts here to really bring home. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, so here's an interesting one here. This is probably not up to date. But this is just something worth bringing. No, I don't really like this one. I'm trying to look for those infamous gold and silver charts that show. No, let me see. It was a charts or us. Yeah, charts. Bear with me. Are us. So charts are us. Let me see here. Though that was the. Let me see here. Okay, this could be it. Let me grab some. Let me see if I can grab. No, it's a lot of interesting charts here. These are a lot of good charts here. Let me see if I can grab one that is suitable for what I'm trying to prove here. Give me a second here. So I would say Charts R Us does a good job of highlighting nations that have accumulated gold. It's a lot of great charts here. I'm trying to find. I may not be able to find it, man, but I wanted to show you that over the last decade plus. Over the last decade plus, I can't show it, but I'll just show you what it looks like here. And it has a lot of interesting gold charts here. But over the last decade plus, who has been accumulating the most gold? And so let me look at some things here. Gold US ratio. Let me see what this looks like. Gold. Nope, not interesting. But okay. But anyway, we know Russia, China, and all those nations that have been preparing for this moment. They are the key benefactors of this current surge price in gold because they have been accumulating. They have been getting physical, while the Western world has ignored any type of holding of gold. We've known central banks have been getting gold up for the longest. And literally the central banks right now who have been accumulating the most gold over the last decade plus have been the benefactors of this recent price surge. So they have an insurance policy out against themselves on everything that they have created in the form of the fiat Ponzi scheme that they have been a part of. So they literally have some anchorage. They have some tonnage in their vaults where they're benefiting tremendously in reference to the valuation of gold increasing as the fiat currency that they issue is failing right now. So this is what's happening in the markets, man. It's very interesting. And, clearly things are lining up for a not so favorable end result for the Middle East, because if Iran don't bite the bait, there will be something that probably will happen in the Middle East anyway, because the Western needs a distraction right now. They need something to justify gold and silver surging, and they would need something to cover up the fact that treasuries are no longer the flight to safety that they need them to be, because the world has turned their back on the dollar. Hands down. Ben Israel, appreciate you. Praise y'all. Alone, appreciate your work. Appreciate you, man. Thank you for the love offering. All right. So that's kind of what I have for today. The banks overall will be fine because they're central bank report, central bank supported. And whatever happens in the next monetary restructuring, they're going to be around no matter what, just issuing and holding our deposits in a different form. And then, this Middle East conflict that will probably escalate within the next 24 to 40 hours. If Iran don't bite the bait, the U.S. will create a intentional flag. They're gonna throw a flag on the field intentionally to get people's attention diverted. Because think about this: if they don't pull something off this weekend, the way that they're trying to set this up as, come Monday morning, we can see $2,500 gold, $35, $40 silver. Literally, that's what's happening right now. Something has broken. The world's responding. They need a distraction. So anyway, let's get to some Q&A, man. What are you guys keeping your eyes on? Oh, here's something else. man, bear with me. Here's something else that's worth. So right now, let me just check in. So right now, what's trending? We have silver squeeze trending. This is what's trending on Twitter, on X right now. Silver squeeze is trending right now. So a lot of people are literally taking advantage of opportunities in the silver game. So we have, if you're looking to buy silver ahead of the silver squeeze, you would need to find any cheaper silver than Bullion Star. So apparently Bullion Star got some cheap silver. Silver, which is now 29.40, looks like it's about to cut through its resistance zone like a hot knife through butter. So this resistance zone, clearly 28 to 30. So if it breaks out above that, yeah, it's going to be interesting. What else here? So a lot of commentary on silver. Silver squeezes Friday. So literally it looks like this price surge is being front run by a lot of investors, probably putting pressure on the paper side of things. It says silver hits 85,000 for the first time. So anyway, that's what's trending there. And what else we got here? We got Malaya's trending. What's going on with him real quick? Let me check in. Let me see here. Does Malaya interview with Shapiro change how? So it looks like he interviewed with Shapiro. What else we got here? Looks like there's a lot of situations happening down in Argentina right now. Interviews with panel of Argentinians. What up? Okay, so what else we got here? The VIX is trending. Pope is trending. Bidenomics is trending. Damascus, Antarctica. That's what I want to touch on. So it looks like over the last couple of hours or so, there was some type of anomaly coming from the Antarctica region. And so as you can see right here above my head, some type of pulse or some kind sent a wave. It says Antarctic swell plot thickens. The same phenomena witnesses yesterday also occurred in February 1st, 2024, which indicates a wave exceeding 50 feet. What on earth are they doing in Antarctica? Truth is stranger than fiction. So the fact that was trending earlier. And so it just shows here that there's a lot of activity coming from that region. And of course, the world would have us believe that, it's an actual continent in of itself. No one can go there unless you're authorized. No one can ever fly over there. And so that's all we have. So as I mentioned before, there's two things that you will never experience in your life. You'll never leave the stratosphere, i.e. go to space. And two, you'll never be allowed to go to Antarctica. So you'll never go up, you'll never go down. You only can go around and around, supposedly. And if this is all we have here, how come we can never find peace? It's intentional. The enemy's at work here. The greater enemy, the enemy of humanity. We know who he is, Satan himself. So, and all his deceptive tactics to keep us dumbed down and distracted while we apparently fight amongst ourselves over what? Like, we're supposed to be given dominion of this territory. But then you have evil forces at work, the higher principalities and powers that love to suppress and enslave humanity. At what cost? They're going to lose. They've already lost the eternal battle. So anyway, these are just some things that caught my attention. Never a dull moment. Man. So let's keep it going here. So it says, Rolf says, flat earth. Here's the thing. Whether the earth is flat or round, it's irrelevant at the end of the day, because the whole concept of the structure of the earth was given to us by the same entity that has a lot to lose if whatever truth surfaces actually comes out, because it plays, the round earth plays into the idea that we're on a sphere spinning around in the galaxy where the gut sun and the moon and all that stuff like that, we're supposed to be the center of the universe and everything builds upon us. Okay, sure. If that's the case, then they would love to promote the fact that there could be life beyond and above and whatever. Irrelevant. Completely irrelevant for humanity, because as of right now, all we have is where we have at this moment, which is Earth. And so it just basically plays into all the possibilities that could be, where we can't even solve our own problems here, but we're going to take our flawed humanity state to another region or continent or whatever. Completely irrelevant, because more than likely, nobody on this earth will leave, and there'll never be a colony formed anywhere else. It's just not happening. So I don't really pay attention to the flat earth, round earth. It don't matter. The whole goal for humanity is to hide the existence of a creative being that formulated all this strategically. And if that is the case, then man will be held accountable to a single source, which we know as Yahweh or God of the Bible. And so science don't want any of that to become a part of our vocabulary. So they'll have you thinking that there's aliens on other planets and there's all types of other things to distract us. But who is the primary distractor of human existence? It's Satan himself. So anything is possible when you know what's at stake. They, meaning him, the principality and powers, don't want people to return back to their source, which is God in of themselves. And it's only one way to do that, through Jesus Christ. So you throw out, 7, 8 different religions to keep people confused and distracted. You give them an illusion that they can leave and that they can't go down and all this other stuff. It's just, man, it's enough to keep you preoccupied until you die. And if you're not saved and if you're not, in Christ, you just literally got duped and you'll spend eternity in hell. That right there to me is the ultimate price. It's not worth being deceived over. So it's still relevant. Long, interesting story there, but very interesting to say the least. Living in this construct. Bible teaches flat earth. I spent a lot of time on flat earth. William, I would be more than content with believing the earth is flat or round. Doesn't matter. One thing I do know, according to how the Bible plays out, Christ returns to this particular sphere that we are on now. He puts his feet on this particular ground that we stand on now. And then his millennial kingdom will be set up in the city of Jerusalem. And from there, he will rule this entire sphere. So I believe that. And that's all that matters to me. And then beyond that, if you're in Christ, you're supposed to rule and reign with him. And then the eternal kingdom is set up where Christ and the Father both rule on this renewed earth. So to me, that is fact. And everything else is just a distraction. So the goal is to reach as many souls as you can to help them experience the same type of love and joy we have now as believers so that they can spend eternity with their creator. So sweet and simple. Anything beyond that complicates it and it confuses people. Oh, man. It says round earth hiding Yahweh. Yeah. I agree at 100%. And so ultimately, man don't want to be held accountable to the fact that there is a supreme source, and that supreme source has set a standard. His standard is found in his written word that we have now, regardless of, people say it's written by man, whatever. It's cut and dry. You do those things, you obey those commandments, which the most recent one through the New Testament is to love. Man finds it very hard to love, i.e., all this crazy stuff we're experiencing right now on earth. And so, literally, Satan has come to steal, kill, and destroy, and he holds no bars back. Everything is on the table for him, and that's why we have a very confused humanity. The human species is the most confused entity on this planet. We're the only ones living out of balance. We're supposed to be in dominion, but yet we're subjected to these evil forces that are trying to kill us day by day, any way they can. Anyway, I'll rant, but I'm not. Anyway, so we're at 45 minutes. Appreciate you guys for joining, man. Hope you guys found some valuable information here. If you did, share this, put it out there so people can find out an alternative perspective on what's really happening. Let them decide whether it's true or false. None of this is, factual. This is all my opinion. So go do your own research. And other than that, in the meantime, get prayed up, stay prayed up, get your weight up, enjoy life, smile, be a blessing to other people. And more importantly, share your faith with others so they have a chance to receive Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior. Because that's ultimately all it boils down to. Either you're saved or you're not. If you are, there's life beyond this. If you're not,